Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. And I usually say it's your girl, Coach Christal, but it's a special day. So I'm going to say it's that girl, Coach Christal. It is launch day for the first edition of Steps and Stories, 30 Days of Growth with Grace. Now, I say the first edition because this is going so well. I just feel like this might be a series. Okay, so let's just go ahead and call it what it is. If you don't have Steps and Stories, 30 Days of Growth with Grace, you can now not just go to crystalbrown.com, but jump over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere that books are sold. Today is the official launch day. It is not just a book, it's a journey. So tonight, I'm going to tell an exclusive story that's not in the book, but come along with us for the journey. Tonight, if you're just joining us on the Wisdom Wednesday platform, this is where we usually talk to people who have influenced me, shaped me, or who I just believe so heavily in their brilliance that I want to share them with the world. I want to welcome you in to the Steps and Stages community and the family. If you have not been with us, this is how we start everything. A lot of things happen before this, and I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this, but I promise to be here with you now. Please be here with me now. I guarantee that being present with us tonight is going to change something about how you see yourself, but especially how you might use the word love. So here's what we're going to do. Wisdom Wednesdays is always a candid platform where you can ask questions anytime you feel like it. We are live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So drop a comment or a question anytime you have it. But I couldn't just tell this story tonight just to the screen. I needed to create a story circle. And so a story circle means that these are some people who I believe can reflect back something to me about this story that I might have missed. Right? Might give me some information on how to transform my own thinking. And so I'm going to bring them out one by one and just let you know who they are and what they mean to me. They can also tell you who they are in their own right. So in order of who's known me the longest, we're going to bring Tiffany Rhynard up. Tiffany, welcome to Steps and Stages. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. I've known Tiffany since I was an undergrad in college. She is famous for being the first person to ever pay me to dance. She is a film director, maker, creative person, mother, artist. Anything else you want to say about yourself?
I'm Christal's friend.
Yes.
Which is an important label.
Yeah, and Gabe's aunt too. Yeah. All right. Next, we're gonna bring out in order of who's known me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Size next. Okay. Now, I just want to say I said this before backstage when we were getting ready. This is Sieita Grant. She is my sister in love, and we have children by two brothers, and we became sisters in the process. So, Sieita is here to give the perspective of the person who was the eyewitness of how this all started. Okay. So, anything else you want to say?
Nothing other than Christal is my sister, not only in love in every form of the way. She is my sister, and I love her to death.
Love you back. Love you more. Let's see. Jason Grant. Okay, no relation, but same last name. Jason Grant is here tonight, y'all, to be, just like the person who's witnessed some of this growth, evolution, and transformation from the inside, right? Like, we worked at the same place. We were both, faculty of color in a place that doesn't have a lot of them. So Jason has seen a lot of transformation. Jason, what else you want to say?
Oh, I think you summarized pretty good. You're not giving us a lot of room to talk here. So I like where we are right now.
Okay, you like where we are right now. Okay. And then a person who has been on the Wisdom Wednesday platform before, y'all, please welcome back Dr. Curtis Jasper, lovingly referred to as Dr. Kurt, a amazing therapist, counselor, mentor to so many men and people around the country. Kurt, what else you want to say?
I think you got it, Coach. I think you got it. I'm happy to be here. Can't wait to get my hands on my own copy.
I
need my copy.
I know you can get one of those. I got you. And last but not least, Rochelle, come on in. Listen, y'all, I met Rochelle at a retreat called Fill Your Cup. We got to spend some time together in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and I love her energy. I love her vibe. And I wanted someone here who is new to the Christal universe, right? To say, well, this is what I've seen. This is what I've heard, just to really not, so that people know I'm not stacking the odds here in my favor when I'm telling the story. Okay. Just want to be neutral here. Rochelle, what you want to say?
I'm just happy to be here. I was honored to be invited. I often refer back to something you said on that retreat in my journal, and Christal had shared something with us around my existence cannot be contained by someone else's rules in response to thinking about systemic inequity. And there were just tears and goosebumps, and Christal's had a big impact on me. So I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy you accepted my invitation. Okay, so let's get into it, y'all. Here's the story. Everybody knows I turned 44 on November 14th. Okay, so we're talking about I've been 44 for like 60 days, almost 90 days now. Okay. Back into I just gotta, for the people who are just joining, I just want to give you a little bit of backstory. Okay. So the backstory here is I am someone who has two core values, love and trust. I don't do anything I don't love, and I don't work with people I don't trust. Now, that has evolved into my life becoming a series of things that I love to do, and I don't make any apologies about that. Now, what sometimes looks like I might be missing something are the places where I love to dig into. So people know that instead of referring to myself as a single parent, I refer to myself as a parent who's single, because a woman of wisdom told me quite a while ago that you put what your priority is at the beginning. And singlehood has not been my priority. It's been like this place and time where I have deeply started to understand my own pathways into and out of relationships and what I really do love. So I started to think, well, dang, Christal, your life is amazing. Like, maybe you are missing something. Is this like, do you want to be in a relationship? So in 2021, I hired a relationship coach, went through the whole series just to say, is this something I want? Or is it just something I can do? Is it an option or an opportunity? So we got to the understanding that, yes, I would love to have a partner. I love to have a husband, but it has to be something that's going to make me grow, right? So then some of y'all have heard me say, yes, I want to be married because I think it's the only way I'm going to get to the next stage of my spiritual evolution, right? So that's been the mantra. Now, then we came up with this man, this archetype. People have heard me say it. My clients are probably going to jump in the chat in a minute. His name is Malcolm Anthony. Malcolm Anthony is the amazing archetype that is a communicator. He's loving. He's supportive. He has all these qualities that I need, but also he's really just kind of the backbone, but also the complement to what I, in that session with the relationship coach, named whimsical stability. All right. So that basically means that I know that if I get married in my 40s, I don't have to wake up to the same person every day. And it doesn't mean I want to wake up to a different person. Everybody hear me out loud here. Be clear. Let me be clear. It means that I understand that I'm busy. And if we're attracting the same type of person, the people that are equal to us, then he's going to be busy too. So I travel a lot. You probably travel a lot. Maybe we need to like fix this thing so by the time we're like 70 and we need each other to go to the bathroom, we're in the same place. Right? All good? Right? So that's my kind of thought here. Right? Now, let's fast forward. I turned 44 on November 14th. Sieita and I fly to an island on November 15th. Now, I just also want to say that this platform is nothing close to petty. We are all purposeful here, right? So I just want to say that I have contacted the man who is in this story, and I have told him that I'm going to tell this story tonight so that there is no blindsiding anyway. We are not here to judge him. This is all about my experience of love, right? And we will not be using his real name because we do not want the internet trying to find him like some people try to find my son's father a lot of times. Okay. So anyway, so let's get back into it. So, we fly to an island that shall remain nameless on November 15th. Sieita is my sister-in-law, and we have interests that we rub off on each other. Sieita loves bags. I'm not a bag girl. So she's already found the mall that we need to go to because she's going to go get this bag. Okay. I like to go get a bag, but I don't got to buy a bag. You understand? Okay. So here we go in the mall. We're at the mall. We're walking out through the mall, and these two gentlemen start walking, like, coming towards us. And so I travel a lot. So I can always notice like, oh, these are Americans. These some regular people. So I'm like, hey, what's up? Right. Side's like, hey, because she grew up in the Bronx. She'll be giving a whole lot of haze. I'm still Southern, right? I'm like, hey, we go into the Louis Vuitton store. These two gentlemen come into the Louis Vuitton store. Now, for those people who might not know this side of Coach Christal or Christal Brown, I love people. right? So sometimes my energy with men sometimes might get a little confused, right? So these two gentlemen walking in the store. This dude is looking at this bag. I'm like, are you about to get that for your wife? Please don't. That's not the one, right? And so I just start talking. The conversation goes into, hey, what do you do? My daughter does it. Oh, your daughter's a dancer. Oh, I'm a dancer. Da 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 da. Then we find out that the other gentleman who's there, he said, oh, what are y'all doing here? I was like, oh, celebrating my birthday. My birthday was Monday. He goes, oh, my daughter's birthday was Monday. I said, oh, that's weird. And then I go, when is your birthday? He goes, oh, my birthday's April 13th. I go, oh, well, that's my son's birthday. This is great. So I got to mention some of these synchronicities so that y'all stay in the loop here. Okay, so then he says, what are y'all going to do while you're here? He pulls out this list of like anecdoted restaurants and everything on the island. I'm like, well, listen, if my son turned out to be like this and keep these notes in his phone like this, I'm going to be hyped. Like, okay, that's a solid read right there. So I say, hey, can you airdrop me the list? He goes, oh, well, yeah, but what's your number? I just texted to you. Y'all know me. Let me actually, the other part of the backstory is I don't be outside. Okay. For everybody out there, I don't be outside. I didn't really think nothing of it. I actually can count on one hand, maybe not even using all my fingers, the amount of dates I've gone on in the last 12 years. Okay. The other part of this backstory is me kind of swearing off, like I'm not going to date again till my son graduates from high school. So in 2021, when I decided to see that relationship coach, that was a whole upheaval. Okay. So we're back on the island. Get the list. Sieita buys a bag like she does. Then we leave the Louis store. We go to the Gucci store because you can't just walk by the Gucci store when you're with Sieita. I mean, I could have walked, whatever. We go in the Gucci store. These two gentlemen come in the Gucci store. Now we're just like joking around. I look at this bag. I ask the woman, how much is this bag? She goes, oh, it's like however much money. And the gentleman who had the note on his phone that has the same birthday as my son says, oh no. So now I'm playing along. I'm like, okay, he said I can't have it. Maybe it'll end up under the Christmas tree. Okay, thank you. Right. So all that we do this little thing. He comes over and he goes, oh, that bag is really you. And I was like, you don't know me. And so at this point, I'm not totally oblivious. I go, oh, okay. But then I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to leave the store now. We leave the store. And this is where we can blame this on my sister-in-law. Okay? Because we're out the store at this point. My sister-in-law, he comes out of the store. My sister-in-law decides to say, so what's up with you? I'm walking to Zara. I'm looking for a green suit. I'm focused. I got an event to do the next. This one says, what's going on with you? And he says, oh, I've been seeing somebody I've been seeing somebody. She said, oh, okay. So I said, okay, Side, let's go. We go to the Zara store. Fast forward, a day goes by. I see this list of restaurants. Apparently there's this amazing restaurant at the top of the island where you can see the whole island, right? So I text him and I say, listen, do I need reservations to go here? He says, oh, I'll handle it for you. What time do you want to go? He makes the reservation, sends me the confirmation. I go, thank you. Great. We go to dinner that night. We have a great time. We leave. The next day he says, hey, what are y'all getting into? And I go, well, Sai's leaving today. I'm going to take her to the airport. I have a client who lives here, so I'm going to go see them on the other side of the island. And he says, well, if you need a hangout, buddy, let me know. And I said, okay, well, okay. I mean, at this point, I'm like, y'all just listing this. This point, I'm like, okay, Sai's leaving. Obviously, this person knows this island way better than I do. Like, oh, see, Jason's like, yeah. Right, okay. Right, so I get back to the hotel. I text him. I say, hey, hang out, buddy. What you got in mind? He's like, oh, let's go to the lighthouse. I'll pick you up in 6 minutes. I go, okay. I go out. I get in the car. And then somehow we start down this conversation about just exactly what I just told y'all of like, listen, I'm just really careful with my heart. I don't be hanging out with a whole lot of people. I really don't be outside, all this kind of stuff. And he was like, yeah, my friend was like, why are you single? And I was like, well, I'm single because I don't have a lot of time to be really playing games. And I hear it's garbage out here. Right. I hear it's not cute. So I don't make I don't, and I live in a place that's not, I don't have to worry about that. Jason can attest to that, right? I don't have to worry about that. Right. So we go to this Aloe Factory. We do a tour. We're like playing around with the phones in there. I start to notice that he likes making little videos. And I was like, oh, you like this? And I went to school for new media, art, and technology. So I'm like, yeah, let me show you how to do this on your phone. Da, da, da. Gadgets. I love gadgets. So then we leave there. He's like, well, I have a meeting. So I'm thinking, oh, drop me back off at the hotel. I got some work I could do. You know, this is fun. He doesn't stop at the hotel. He goes right to the lighthouse where he's meeting a photographer. And I was like, what are you meeting a photographer for? He was like, well, you know, I'm just working on this thing. I was like, what thing? He's like, he reads me this speech on his phone about vision. I was like, well, what is it for? He's like, I don't know. So fast forward, we get to this lighthouse and there's a full-on photo shoot happening that now I'm a part of. To the point where when I see the pictures later, people are like, did you get engaged? And I was like, no, but it does look like it. I could see how you could deduce that. We get to this lighthouse. We go up the lighthouse. There's a couple at the top of the lighthouse. So at this point, most people could probably understand about me that relationships for me bring out, like, when you're close to me, people here who are my friend, like when you're close to me, you get it all, right? It's like, hey, we're doing this. Okay, we're doing it. We in it. So what are we doing? 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm all in, right? So at this point, I'm like, okay, there's a photo shoot happening. There's a speech on the phone. Like, okay, let's practice. Like, tell it to me again. I need to hear it. He's like, no, I need my phone. I was like, I'm not giving you your phone. If you wrote it, you can tell it to me. Just come on. The couple on the other side of the lighthouse says, you better do what she say, because sound like she about to get you all the way together. That's the one right there. She about to change your life. And so I'm like, what is happening? Am I in the Tyler Perry movie? Like, this is like Lifetime Tyler Perry. The couple comes around the corner. They're celebrating their 28th wedding anniversary. The woman has the exact same birthday as me, and the husband has the same astrological sign as him. So I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's happening here. We leave there. The photo shoot continues, all these kinds of things. We go back. He's recording this audio at his apartment. I'm there. I know this sounds like I'm about to be abducted, but it was fine. Right, recording this audio. And so he's like, well, I was like, I got to go. I got to see clients at 8 o'clock. He's okay, well, let's get some food. So we go, we eat some tacos. While we're eating these tacos, I lean forward and I say, listen, I'm pretty sure I heard you very clearly say that you have been seeing someone for 2 years. And if I were her right now, I'd be big mad. He was like, yeah. I was like, what's her name? He tells me her name. I said, how long have you been with her? He's like, 2 years. I was like, I gotta go. So we go, because at this point, like, there's a vibe, right? And I'm like, I'm not, okay, I get it. I'm here, okay. So we go back to the hotel. I get out of the car. I go back in. I log on to see my clients. I go through an entire session with my clients. At this point, y'all, I have absorbed so much of other people's energy and gone through a basic, I feel like I got married and divorced in 16 hours. I literally log off with my clients on the Zoom and go throw myself in the ocean in the dark. I'm in the ocean having like this, like back and forth, like, what is happening, God? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at like the dark abyss of the ocean. Okay. So then at this point, I realized you got to get out of this ocean and go find a comb, because now you've just messed up your hair and you're flying from here back to a hotel room to do a live event tomorrow. So I go into the hotel. The gift shop is closed. No comb. I go back. And I text him and I say, listen, if you're going to the airport tomorrow, I will take you up on the ride. But if not, don't worry about it. And he calls back and says, oh, I thought you were mad at me. And I was like, mad at you? Why am I mad at you? He was like, well, I made you late. I was like, no, I just need a comb right now. He was like, I just feel conflicted. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. He's like, do you feel conflicted? I was like, I ain't got nothing to be conflicted against. In the backstory, there's this whole other situation that pops in, and which is really the Tyler Perry twist, but we'll get to that. Okay, everybody with me so far? Are y'all okay? Did everybody get a drink? Okay, so the next morning, he texts me and says, hey, how you doing? You need anything? I was like, no, I got to get this work done. I got to get my hair together. Can I expect you around noon? He was like, come whatever time you say. I was like, great. He's like, have you eaten? I was like, I haven't eaten. I'll be done by 11:30. We can grab something to eat on the way to the airport. Okay, he comes at 11:30. We stop by to get some food. The photographer comes and wants to show us all the things he did the day before. And I'm looking at these pictures like, what, where, what, who am, what happened? Right. And so that happens. Then we are on our way to the airport. And I said, listen, I know this might sound crazy, but I don't have pre-check. I know it sounds crazy for somebody like me, but I just don't do it. It doesn't matter. But I need to get to the airport. So we go into the airport and he's driving. And I'm like, do you always drive this slow? He's like, yeah. And so literally I take my hand and I like put it on his neck. And I was like, if I miss this flight, you ain't never got to worry about me again. Never. Right? Because I got stuff on the other end. I need to get to it. I need to get back. So we pull up to the airport and like the line is long outside, but I don't know if it's my airline. I can't really tell. We get there and then he's like, wait right here. And I'm like, wait right here. Again, y'all, I've been single for over 12 years. Wait right here? What that mean? What we doing? So I'm in the car. I'm like, I need to get on this plane. All the things. I get out of the car. I take my bag out of the car. I'm waiting by the side of the car because now I'm like, I don't want to leave his car here. He comes back. He's like, no. He puts his stuff back in the car. He pulls up further. He goes back in the airport. And I'm like, what is going on? So he goes in. He buys the escort so that I can get through customs faster. Amazing, right? So at this point, I'm like, oh, okay. So thank you. We get to the airport. I text him and I say, thank you so much for your care of my time. I really appreciate it. We had a great time. Great. So now I am on the plane. I make him a little video to say thank you because now we know he likes these videos. Send a video. I get on the plane. I get to a layover in New York City. I get a text to say, hey, have you made it back yet? And I go, no, I had a layover. I'm eating dinner. He was like, oh, well, I got sad after you left. So I just flew back to the States. And I was like, so maybe you're coming to my event tomorrow? He was like, I think I will. So I start the event at 10. Around 10:45, he walks in. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Right. But let me tell you something about me. When I feel loved, it is a superpower. So when he walked in, the whole room went up 10 notches. Right? Like everybody in that room was like, oh, I'm here. And I was like, oh, we're all here. We're doing this. Right? This is the thing. He leaves, goes back. I talk to him. That's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It comes to be like Wednesday. And we have like the talk again of like, listen, I can't be a side chick. When I left him at the airport, I said to him, I cannot be your escape, but I can be your evolution. Right? And then I went and got on the plane. So I kind of reminded him of that. Like, I can't do this. I can't do that. And so that goes by. The next day is Thanksgiving. He's like, okay, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're well. I was like, I think we just had the breakup talk yesterday. I'm not, what are you talking about? I'm confused. I'm like, I'm fine, but God just wore me out for 2 hours. And if you follow my social media, you can scroll back on like this crying dilemma. I was in a quiet time for 2 hours and God was just talking. And I was like, God just wore me out for 2 hours. A note came out for you. And I took a picture and sent him the note. And in the note, it clearly says, I understand that love is not possession. And that's one of the clarifying things that came out really early in this. Like, and I just got to like give y'all the other part of this for context. This entire story that I'm telling y'all is in the context of 40 days. Okay. So just all this happened. This is done. Thanksgiving goes by. I'm talking to my therapist and I'm like, well, I kind of want to talk to him, but I don't want to talk to him because I said I wasn't going to talk to him. I should, right? And she's like, I'm in this false moral dilemma, basically, y'all. False, right? Because I've made up this story in my head that he says, oh, I've been seeing someone for 2 years. I made it up in my head that 2 years, this is serious, it's your girlfriend, But I don't know how this man thinks. So I'm like, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing to myself? So she says, what's the worst thing that can do? You text him and what happens? She's like, if he responds, great. If he doesn't, that's still data. So I sent this crazy GIF and he responded and I was like, oh, well, nice to hear from you. I got to go to Atlanta. I'm traveling. He was like, well, waiting a week to talk to you feels like an eternity. And I was like, well, it's already been a week. Did you read my note? And he was like, yeah, it's been my reading material for the last week. So I get stuck on the tarmac. We end up talking on the phone. I'm traveling. We end up talking about, oh, well, I got to go to this event next week. It's a formal event. He was like, what's the date? And I was like, Saturday, He was like, I think I can make it. And I was like, he's like, who are you going with? I was like, I'm going with the couple that invited. He's like, oh, okay. I was like, do you have a tux? He was like, yeah, I just bought one. Right. So then we get back from the photo shoot. We're back in this flow of talking every day. He has this conversation with me about expectations. And in that conversation, the expectations were that he would be in my life for a long time and that there were some times that I was going to have to be away from him. And so I'm listening to this dialogue and I'm like, okay, I mean, that seems pretty I get that. So then that goes by. Then lo and behold, here we are going to a formal event. He flies back in. We have like 5 first dates in 24 hours. We go to a formal event. And so some of my clients who might jump in the chat, they know that in the recollection of Matt said things like, when I meeting me as on a tuxedo, right? And they were like, oh, right? All these things. So here we go. We're at a formal event. We leave there. We end up staying in the same hotel. We are like, it's like so calm. It's like this, like we've been together forever. We end up sitting on the couch, reading astrology books, reading about Louise Hay, having an impromptu dance hall party, and then going to bed like just like we've been together forever, right? Wake up the next day, we go to breakfast, we go to the mall, we see a movie, we have coffee, all the first dates in like 24 hours. And then there's a snowstorm and we drive away from each other. Then the holidays hit, the big holidays hit, Christmas. And so he says, oh, I'm hosting people over here. I'm like, okay, great. You're going to be busy. This is real grown folk stuff. Listen, I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Gabe's away. I'm on like a spiritual retreat. I'm like at the spa. I'm doing all the things that I need to do to get myself together, but I'm still checking in. Most people here know if I'm nothing else, I am consistent, right? Like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm in it. I'm done. Right? So then I stopped hearing from him. And so around like January 1st, I say, I really need you to call me. And so he calls and he's like, well, what's going on? I said, how are you? He's like, I'm just hanging on. I said, what do you mean hanging on? He's like, well, I haven't heard from you. And I'm like, are you trying to gaslight me? Like, that's a direct quote. Are you trying to, like, what are you doing? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, all right, so we'll talk in an hour. He's late for the hour. Calls back, disconnection, right? So then I text him again. I'm like, what happened? And then I send him a voice note because, sometimes people read text in their own voice. And then I send him another note and I said, listen, if there's some random thoughts in your mind that I'm mad, I'm not mad. And he texted me back and said, it seems like it. And I was like, now don't do that. Let's not do that. Right. And so this is a person, right, who has had conversations with me who says, I know you value communication. All the things, right? So I'm like, well, so when you don't respond to my messages, or what am I supposed to do with this? So then that happens. And then the last part of this story, y'all, is where we end up is we get to this disconnection. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what I know that I'm doing just so I can keep myself sane, right? That I'm going to text you. I'm going to either call or text you at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. for 5 days. And after that, I'm going to be done. Right? Like if you don't, that's just what I'm going to have. So that was done. I didn't get a lot of responses. There's a package for that had his Christmas gift in it. I put it in the mail and I was like, amen. My love tank got filled up. I had an amazing time. I have no regrets. People are like, well, I told you should have been careful. And that's because people were thinking that this was a finite end, but love is not a finite end. Relationships are how we relate to each other. Love is the energy that fuels how we relate. And it was all love until it wasn't. Right? So when I was thinking about telling y'all this story, I was thinking about, okay, in the book, in Steps in Storage, there are 2 sections. After you read a story, it says, taking the note and getting the step. Taking the note is something I pull. Taking the note and getting the step are 2 vernacular phrases we pull from me being a dancer for 20 years. Taking the note means you look at the information and you get the notes and you say, what could have been done better? And then getting the step means you put the notes into action for the next rehearsal, right? So when I was taking the note, I was like, okay, love is not possession. Did I feel loved? This is something that I said also in the midst of it of like, this is the second time I felt this powerful a connection in my life. And some people don't get it once and I've had it twice. So I'm going to be grateful for that. And I was thinking about falling in love rather than choosing to love. At this point in my life, I've always thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to get married, but I'm going to choose someone to love. It's going to be a good fit. It's going to be logical. It's going to work out. I never thought I would fall in love again and be like, oh, crap, I don't know what's happening. Why am I even thinking this? Who is it? Yeah, I'll be there. Where are we going? Okay, right? That kind of fall in love. And so I was like, okay, this is telling me a lot of things. One is that the time I spent healing my heart from wedding, that from the canceling the wedding, from the having the child with the person that you weren't really connected with, from all the little things that I thought were missing in my life, they're not anymore, right? And my heart is so open that I can fall in love. I don't have to choose it and be safe. And love is something that continues to be a core value in my life, even if I have to take risk to do it. So that's the story. Love is love. I still love love. No shade, no nothing to this gentleman. Still love is there, right? So funny part is I texted him and said, so want to make sure you got your Christmas gift. Did your package arrive? So yes, I haven't been there to open it. Thank you so much. And when I texted him today to say, listen, I'm going to tell this story on this podcast, he was like, thank you for the heads up. I totally support your decision. Right? Like, so there's like, I'm like, and then I did send it. I sent it and then I deleted it. I sent this text that said, your response time is so fast now. But I took it away. I deleted it because that sounded a little petty. Okay, y'all. Questions, comments, concerns. Let's talk about it. What'd you hear? That's the story. That's the story. I'm sticking to it. If you haven't gotten your copy of Steps and Stories, that story ain't in there because it just happened. But go get your book today. What you got? Kurt finger on the button. Go ahead, Kurt.
So let me be clear. You're an awesome storyteller. You profess that. Like you killed it. Like
thank you.
I was on every word. Yeah, I was on every word. Right. That needs to be something. Tiffany need to put that in a little short movie or something. No, seriously, that was dope. Like the way you told it was dope.
I think there's a disclaimer here, Kurt, that if somebody here is watching from Tyler Perry or Lifetime, like if y'all want to turn this into a screenplay, it's a whole lot more details.
Got it. But it's your story. But you got that's yours. That's yours. Right. No, I love it. You said a few things that stood out with me, and of course, the idea of love is right. Love is risk. Love is courage. But what really stayed with me, Coach Christal, is when it sort of tied up some of those other things that you went through, some of your other moments, right? Yeah. That's what that is, and being complete. Sort of those full circle moments, and relationships have those, that functionality, right? We have the projection. It sounds like you're very present, right? It's just riding the wave. It was a great story. It really brought out some things in my own stuff. Let's be clear. I'm like, Jesus, was you there? Right. But what I'm holding on to is how that brought clarity and full circle to some of your earlier moments. Yeah. So thank you for that.
No, thank you, Doc. Thank you. And I think it's real, right? Because a lot of women like me, and I ain't saying, tonight I do get to be that girl, but I'm not, like, y'all know me. I ain't rah. I don't talk to people crazy. I don't be all out I don't be outside. Right. And so a lot of women like me, I think, who are ready for deep, meaningful relationships, but have a level of success or life stamina or all these things, get told a lot that we are too much and not enough simultaneously. Right. And that contradiction is so hard to really bring synthesis to. This ain't the first time that I've maybe just been left for the other woman. And I'm not saying that the other woman is good, bad, right, wrong, real, but I do know she's easier. I've been left for the Verizon wireless girl before. So, it is what it is. Yes,
well, I want to say, being there and witnessing it, I saw the attraction immediately between the two of them, which is why I asked them, before we get too far into this and you follow us around this island the whole entire day, what is your situation? So when he mentioned he was in a relationship, to me, that was like, oh, so stop following us. And when I left and heard the rest of the story that happened after I left, I talked to Christal and I said, you deserve happiness and I want you to have fun. Regardless where this go, I want you to be happy and I want you to have fun. And she was just so happy. The pictures looked like prom pictures, and she just looked like she was in this relationship for years with this man. So you can actually see the connection. They work well together. On paper, he was everything I thought would be the perfect match for her. And I think he presented that, and I'm not saying he's not. I even told her later on, he may still turn out to be that perfect match for you later on down the line, years from now, whenever he's ready. You're ready, but he may not be ready right now. Yeah. So when she told me what finally happened, at first I was upset that, he put her through whatever she was going through, this confusion and questioning herself. And that was always going to be, it's not you. You were from the very beginning, you're amazing. And whatever happens is his fault. That was my go-to. It's his fault. It's not you. It's all him. But thinking about it and talking to her about it later on in more depth, it was, he provided something you needed at that time. Yeah. You needed fun. You needed happiness. You needed to get out and just be you and relax. And I think that's what he gave you. So for that, I am very thankful.
Yeah. And I just want to put out there too, this relationship never got physical.
Right.
So I also just want to say, like, these are planes, trains, automobiles. Ain't nobody naked. I mean, I just want to be totally, because I think it's a thing, right? I think people might be assuming other things, but like my singlehood has also been an abstinence period for me, right? So that's also not in the mix. What else you thinking, y'all?
One, you are a great storyteller. I've gotten to witness many, many stories. So it was just such a treat to be here. And I didn't know anything about what had happened, but I know other stories. So, so the moments where he's making a reservation for you, getting an escort at the airport, like those are like, I'm so happy you got to experience those, like that, and just you light up a room when you come in. Like you are kind of the embodiment of love. Since I've known you, as soon as I met you, I was like, there is something different about this person, and you just glow. And something you said, a lot of pearls of wisdom stuck with me too, Kurt. But you said love is not finite or something like that.
Possession is not love. That's what stuck out to me in the first journal entry that really was channeling what I needed to know about him.
Yeah, and that it's not one size fits all, or love isn't one size fits all. And it's like I also think people come into your life for a moment or for a lifetime. Yeah. And that this narrative, and I'm someone who's been with a partner for a very long time, almost 30 years. Yeah. And so I'm this narrative of like, you find one person and stay with them, but I don't necessarily, that's the situation I'm in, but I don't necessarily think it's the end all be all, and it's a lot of work. Parties in the house somewhere, but like, it's, it's not a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And so this notion that we're supposed to find the one, or that it is, I think, problematic. And so these stories of connection that we have with people, that was what was so exhilarating in your story, is that, as you said, it came into her life at the right time. Yeah. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
And of course I'm like, what's up with this dude? Like, what's his come on. Sorry. Anyways,
I think we can just generally deduce that he's an amazing person. If you are watching, you're an amazing person. Please know that, right? But what really set me free, and I just be super honest, I don't have any ex that I can't call and talk to, right? So I have one who checks on me all the time. His name is Kevin. Kev called me and he said, "What's going on?" We did the New Year wrap up. I was like, this happened. He was like, wait, hold up. I hear you, but let me just be honest with you. You are the easiest person to ever be in a relationship with. You say what you want, you do what you say you're gonna do, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever is going on with this dude, like, that's on him. He got some stuff he gonna work out. This ain't got nothing to do with you. And he was like, but what you need to be prepared to is what you gonna say if he call back, or when he call back. I said, hello. Just gonna say, hello, lovely, what's up? Right? Like, that's it. What you got, Jay Grant?
I mean, it sounds like you need to find out who this Verizon girl is, because I think she done messed up your whole relationship. You know what I mean? Because when the connection went out, somebody text, somebody didn't text back.
Oh, wow.
They in here destroying the whole situation. So I'm trying to figure out who is the enemy of progress right now. Like there is somebody that's trying to stand in the way of something great going on. Listen, when his phone want to work, it sounds like it's working. When it don't want to work, it's not working. So I need to figure out what's happening in that situation. If y'all
that was another situation. That was years ago. That I got left for the Verizon wireless. That wasn't
if y'all here listening, go ahead and take your phone to AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. Go ahead and get your SIM card redone, because you don't want that standing in the way of some great progress right now.
Okay, and that's from the computer scientist. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
I think for me, there's this theme of like people can only meet you as deeply as they're willing to meet themselves. And so, yeah, this idea of it likely could be something with him that shifted, right? And context matters. Where we are when we meet matters. Like, you were on a freaking tropical island. Then he followed you to the States, to all these like sort of mountaintop experiences. What are the valleys of life, right? Mm-hmm. Can he hang in the valley with you and the mountaintop? And so whimsical, what was it that you said? Whimsical stability?
Yeah.
And so to me, whimsical is the mountaintop, stability is the valley. Like, can he, right? Can you be in both of those together? So that's what stood out to me.
Yeah. Thanks, Rochelle. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Pam, you got a yes in the chat, or Rochelle? Yes. Yeah, that's from Pam. Okay. Question: How would you help people experience this level of love, regardless of whether there's another person involved? Okay, this is great. Okay. So honestly, let's just be clear that the healing work that we're talking about that I've done for the last 12 years is not just about preparing myself to love another person, but really deeply falling in love with me. Like, I'm at a point in my life where when I walk by the mirror, I'll be like, good God, girl. Hey, what's your name? Right. And I have not always done that. Other people have done that to me, but I've never believed it, right? So I'm at the stage in my life where my self-love is so entrenched in my everyday surroundings and my everyday attitude and my everyday rituals for myself that compliment, what really opened the door to my heart to this man is that he could see me in so many different aspects. He was like, it's like the way you talk to everybody, or like how people love you, or like, we walked into several rooms together and people like, oh my God, look at y'all. Right. Like, so it was a compliment. It was nothing that I felt like I had to change who I was. Like I was, we would hang out and read these books and I'm like in a onesie, like not trying to be cute. Like, we just sitting there just talking. And it felt like I could be the nerdy Christal, the spiritual Christal, the coach Christal, the dance hall. I could do all these things. And so that being seen in all the areas that I now ascribe value to my life in was really what opened the door to my heart. But to answer your question, Juanisha, it's that falling in love with every part of me. I've fallen in love with the on stage, the off stage. I've fallen in love now with the dark places. I know what they are, and I'm not afraid to tell people about them. Right? I mean, we were walking through the mall one day, and he said, what's your deep dark secret? I was like, I don't have any secrets. I think they give you cancer. I tell you anything. What you got? Like, people can ask me anything. Like, I don't have any secrets, right? Like that part of like just knowing that I don't have anything to hide and that I can be my full self is the love that I've started to give myself in every different area of my life. So I think that's really what I would say. It's the like love for self that allows you to say, I can go into a situation that 5 people around me are telling me might be dangerous and might break my heart, but I know that I'm unbreakable. And that if I can open my heart, then it's not there to be broken. It's just there to be transformed, changed, the capacity increased, all those things. So I think that's where it comes from, Juanisha. Thanks for the question. That's a good one.
I have a question. In your time with this person, did it ever come up around what he might be afraid of, the role that fear plays in that dynamic?
Rochelle, let me, I try not to, I know that in the past, my level of intuition can freak people out. Okay, so I'll just say that there's some things that I would say to him, and there's some things that I would just keep to myself, because I have enough history to say I don't want to scare you off, right? So there are little synchronicities. Like the first time he picked me up from the hotel, I came out of the hotel and he was like, "Oh, do you know you're wearing my favorite color?" I was like, "No, but maybe I did know and didn't know," right? And then we were driving down the street. I was like, "Oh, I was going to take you to this restaurant." He was like, "Oh, do you know it's my favorite restaurant?" And I was like, "No, but maybe I do know," right? Those types of things, right? And so what I think I know about him is that he has a deep level of self-imposed integrity. That means that he really honors what he says he's going to do, even to a fault. So he might be afraid to be the bad guy in certain situations. He might be afraid to let people down in a lot of situations. He's been the example for a lot of his friend group of like how to be successful. And so I think when he's with me or when we were together and having these experiences, I would hear him say things like, "Oh, I feel so free," right? And he would say them like, like just how he's feeling at the moment. But I could hear them as like, "Oh, I can't be your escape. I can be your evolution. I can't be your escape," right? I'm a fun person, right? But also like, I'm super quiet. I mean, Jason's been in my house. Like, you could just sit around I could just be quiet for hours and be like, "You here? You want some food? Okay, whatever." Like, I don't need to talk, right? So that type of understanding that I know that there are things that he's afraid of. There's things that he's afraid to lose. There's things that he's afraid to leave. And I could see some of those, but I also just really felt and saw a deep desire in him to grow. Right? Like, I just want to be better. I just want to be, and that is intoxicating to me. Right? Because in that type of relationship, all I want to know is that you're curious enough about me and curious enough about yourself that we're both going to keep growing. So, I mean, long answer to your question, but yeah.
Yeah. I want to be your evolution, not your escape.
Yeah.
What has happened in the past where someone's tried to make you their escape? What went wrong? Can I ask that? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And getting that sense.
Yeah. It looks like, and this is gonna sound like an extreme example, but when we saw the dancer / persona Twitch commit suicide a few months ago, it's because his joy became a commodity, right? And so I've been in several relationships where my joy is a commodity, right? I love it when you're here because you make me feel better. But when you don't feel good, I don't even know how to act, right? I don't know how to deal with that, right? And so it's the commodity of joy that becomes a prison for people. So there's no other thing I can be except happy, right? And when I start to be happy in a false sense, I'm not happy anymore. Right. And so it's that, I think that's been what has permeated many relationships, right? Like, you just don't know how to be around me when I'm just walking around the house quiet. Right. Which is really, I mean, Jason and I are joking back and forth, like, you could just be in my house and I'd be like, whatever. Right. But it's that connection that really allows me to love Jason, for me to know that we are friends. Right. Because there are a lot of people who can't handle Christal when she's not Christal Brown. Right. And it's not like it's a big drastic difference. I just don't, when I know I'm honestly loved by people, I don't feel the need to have to entertain them. And that's been an occupational hazard of mine for 30 years. I've been on stages since I was 9 years old. I need to be in a safe relationship that doesn't call me to be on stage in my own house, right? Or in any situation.
What I've noticed and witnessed with you in past relationships is that anybody that knows Christal, she is going to pour her all into you and also make you want to be the best that you can be for yourself. And sometimes she's pouring so much of herself into these people that she's not filling herself back up. And they're just taking and taking and taking, and it's draining her. And I think with this guy in this relationship, he paid attention to you. He attended to you. He did for you. And for a change you didn't have to do for everyone else around you. You didn't have to be the one that took the lead and did everything, make the reservations and do all the stuff that you would normally do. He did it. So I think that was a big attraction. That was something different for you, for a change. Yeah. And I think that, again, at that moment was something you just really needed. Yeah. It was a way that he filled your cup back up, because you have been running on empty for a while, you know, prior to a lot of the new changes that's going on in your life. So now to see your glow and to see you happy and to see you, I see the glow. I think it was great. So I'm happy for you.
Me too. And I guess I just really want to say that to people who, you know, who might have just been tuning in, like, you can be filled with love and not be attached to the thing that has given you that joy. Right? And I think this is also something that I learned from being an artist and a dancer for so many years. Like, forgive me, this is going to be like me cussing on the platform for the first time. But when I was a dancer in New York City, you could be on stage, and within 30 minutes, you could be on stage in a standing ovation and get on the subway, and somebody is like pushing you out of the way, like, move out of the way. So you can go from sugar to shit in 30 minutes. Right? And so you got to be so clear about who you are, or otherwise you'll take that as your reality. Right? And so being in these relationships over the years, what I've been able to say is that, oh, I know that when I am loved, I am a superhero. And then I had to say, well, okay, wait, it's not that you're not loved every day. Right? But when I feel like I'm intimately known and loved, like, the relationship I want is a yada relationship, a relationship of deep knowing. It's an old Hebrew word, right? And so when I think about my life partner, I'm like, oh, it's a yada partnership. Like, it's a deep knowing. It is love as a mandate and as a feeling. Like, it does not do anything but transform the legacies of life. It invites me into intimate transformation with questioning, concern, understanding, compliments, courage, and it allows us to change the lineage and expectations of two families for the rest of these generations. Like, that's the only, I mean, maybe that's too big. That's the only kind of relationship I want to be in. I mean, great, take me out to eat, but what are we doing? What are we building? Whose life we changing? Right?
So I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
All right. So I know there was a point where you said that, or you might have been thinking, like, do I need this relationship? At this point, Gabe almost, we halfway there, you know, about to be an adult, and I could be good, you know, get him through school.
Yeah.
I'd be a free woman again, you know, and so you had this experience after taking some time to even get back out there. You know, I would say Vermont has kept you on ice for a while too. So let's let that be known. But you went out there, you took a risk, you had a moment. It was beautiful but brief.
Yeah.
So how do you get out there again? How do you get there?
That's a great question, Jay. I mean, okay, so first let's just dial it back for the people who don't know this part, right? Like, so, you know, I challenged myself because I tell all my clients I'm not going to do anything that I'm not going to ask them to do anything that I wouldn't challenge myself to do, right? Just like people who work for me, I don't ask them to do anything I'm not humble enough to do myself. Like, this is we in this together. So, you know, a year ago, like at the beginning of 2022, I made that online dating profile, right? And I was getting to know this person for like 6 months. We're like, oh, this is nice. This is good. This is exactly what I need. You way over there. I'm over here. And this is good. And I think I mentioned this to you too, right? So then that person dropped off the face of the earth and popped back up in the midst of this situation I just told y'all about. And I was like, where is this plot twist coming from? I need Tyler Perry to get out my house, right? What is happening? Right. And so all of those things, I think, I don't know, Jay, like, honestly, you know, I said it before, like, if God wants me to really have someone in my life, it's going to have to be a big arrow. It's going to have to be like pointing to them. And I felt that with this last situation of like, oh, I was out here like in some jean shorts and a tank top, like, what hair still twisted, walking around like blah blah blah. Not outside, not looking for it, right? And so I don't know. I think I had a conversation with Gabe. Everybody who's new to the platform, Gabe is my 12-year-old son, my miniature escort, and also one of the loves of my life, right? So when I talked to him about it, he was like, okay, I mean, you want to date? I feel like that's a good idea. I mean, daddy dates, I feel like you should, but just make sure that you don't, just try not to keep any secrets from me, and let's talk about it. Because, I'm raising a whole grown man over here. So he had to be like, let's talk about it. So I think that's also what changed my perspective on it, Jason, is that we're at a place where Gabe is like, he doesn't need me in that way. He needs me in a different way. And I think if he sees me being loved or my love tank full in a different way, he also feels the love in a different way. Right? Does that make sense? Right? Because he's seen mommy on stage. He's seen people show up to hear me talk. He's seen all that. But he hasn't maybe seen someone see me as a woman, right? And so I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting for both of us.
So, Coach, I got a question. What's the grief been like around this for you?
That's a great question, Kurt. So in the time that we were to kind of, really communicating heavily, we would talk about how connected we were and how deep the connection was, and how I saw it as a kind of spiritual renewal of the type of love that I get to be in twice. And he would say like, well, I've never felt like this before. And I was like, well, I have. And let me tell you how God works over here. Right. Right. And so there was all this talk about expectations and building a foundation together and communicating. Right. And so the mourning and the grief has been about having a lack of understanding, right? And so for me, that's basically means you could tell me, people know, like you could say anything to me. I ain't gotta like it. I just need to hear it. I just need the truth, right? So you could say to me, listen, this was fun. I had a great time, but I really am over here in this something that's serious, and I just can't do this no more. So the grief has been more about having unanswered questions and reminding myself that the unanswered questions doesn't negate the love, right? So like I told y'all, I was joking, like I was about to send this text, or I sent it, and I pulled it back. I'm like, I ain't gonna be petty, right? Because that doesn't feel right to me. It just makes me feel icky on the inside. So when I do want to be petty, I have a Google Doc that I type my little petty thoughts in, right? So I just be like, why can't you just I said, what do you mean? Right. And so I just have to get it out. Right. And whether he remembers it or not, he has access to the Google Doc. So if you ever want to know what I'm thinking, you could just click over. Right. So all the things, right. Just like stuff, because I feel like those are the things that when people are in deep, meaningful relationships, they don't get out. Right. And many of you all know that my mother passed away from vascular dementia, which I think every part of Alzheimer's is deep, unseated, undealt with resentment. And I never want to sit with any of that. Right. So the grief for me has been about getting it out, being angry that I'm not being heard anymore, because right, like this entire relationship was built on like, let's talk. What do you think about this? Right. And so not being heard anymore, just being shut down, that feels really icky. Like I don't like that. And so even kind of undoing that and not letting it affect the value of what I know that I said or of my own voice, right? So the grieving process has kind of been about that, and about like what could have been. Like I was ready to send a sizzle reel to HGTV because I was like, we could have a reality show. And he was like, I think it's a great idea. But how do we go from you think it's a great idea to have a reality show to be like, you can't respond to my text message? We could be, you know what I'm saying? It's a big deal. HGTV, y'all. We really could have done this. Just saying. If HGTV is watching, call your girl. I got some ideas.
Didn't you have a reel recently about like you'd walked into a store once a long time ago, looked at a suit and was like, I can't afford that or something. And when the time comes for you to be able to afford it or to manifest your dreams, you better be ready to receive it. And it sounds a little bit like you might have been in his dreams for a long time too. And as soon as you're real, it's like, was he ready to receive you? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard to, yes, Rochelle, right? And because he said earlier, he was talking one day, and I think another thing, right? Like, let's just also just put it all out there. I do love to communicate. I don't care how I got to say it. I'll say it in any kind of twang, any kind of accent, whatever. I can drop it, whatever. I can say it like I'm from the dirty. I can say it like I got a PhD, whatever. I don't care, right? But he would say like, oh, you're just so good with your words. Right. And so I know that also when people talk to me, they feel like they got to sound like I sound, or they got to like be as articulate. And I'm like, I don't care how you say it, as long as you say it. Right. And so he was talking to me one day. He's like, if this had just been 2 years ago. And I was like, time doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything. Time has nothing to do with this connection. This connection was built eternities ago. Like, what are we talking about? That doesn't matter to me. Like, things like that, like just thinking about big picture, how we make decisions. So yeah, I hear you, right? I could have walked in right at the time and he's like, oh, this is not good timing, but we don't get to choose time. We just get to accept the gift. Yeah.
It's also hard to imagine that you stuck with him, and that fear was mentioned earlier, and this, this fear is overtaking versus the curiosity of what could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just hard to imagine. I know you have an impact. You impacted this person in a deep way. And that can be scary. The thing that maybe he manifested is you. And then it happens, and then it's like, oh my God, whatever is going through that person's mind. Do I deserve this? Can I handle this? La 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 la.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a situation where it's like, what happened? Wait a minute, what's going on? This was good. What happened?
Yeah,
it was fear. It was just that the fear of what could be, the fear of embracing that curiosity and leaning into it.
Yeah, and I guess right. And so right from our time together, I have a high tolerance for discomfort.
Yeah.
So I was feeling all those things too, but I'm just like, okay, but I'm in it. But I said I was here. I said I would keep listening. I said I would be here. I'm here. Right. So yeah, everybody don't have that tolerance for discomfort. Yeah.
Or could even name it and recognize it as discomfort, right? In the first place. In order for you to do that, you've had to have done the work to even know when it's happening, and then work with it and move through it and build the capacity for it. Yeah.
Well, listen, y'all, I mean, I've kept you longer than I said I would. Of course, we could be here all night because I love you all. Any last thoughts before we just tell people how to find their book again? Because it's a book launch, baby. Any last thoughts they want to leave the people with before we sign off? Anybody?
Well, I just want to say that I admire even the thought of you getting out there and not being afraid and going through the whole process and willing to get out and find love and not be afraid to get hurt and just to follow your truth and do what you need to do to make you happy at this point in your life. So I do admire that. And like I said, I'm so proud of you. Love you to death.
I'm proud of you too.
Trip this year for our birthdays.
Oh yeah.
And you're just doing great.
I'm not gonna say where we're going because we don't need nobody trying to meet us. Kurt, what you got?
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being who you are. We've shared a few spaces together. One of the things that I immediately noticed about you when I spoke at the mastermind is, Coach would be up on her feet, stretching, moving, and she still be right with you, right? Answer his question. And being a former classroom teacher, I was like, I know you're kind. I know you're kind. You still rocking, right? Yeah. So that's the first thing. Just your energy is just amazing. But allowing me to work with your son is just incredible. I don't take that lightly. And introducing me to his father, Mr. Grant, and working with him. Yeah. So those two gentlemen. So I've gotten an opportunity to see different angles of you. And it's just been a beautiful insight. So thank you for that. I got to see a few spots. And your nephew, right? Your other nephew's son. I forgot about that.
Men who are near and dear to my heart. I'm like, I want you to go talk to Kurt. I mean, I really think I was trying to send your Instagram to this gentleman that we're talking about. But
right now, let's be clear. I'm still with it now. If I got to pull up on him now, this is don't. No. He'll get a different side. No.
He needs you on his side. You be on his side, Kurt.
He get the South Side, Chicago side. He gonna get the therapeutic side. He get that other side. Like, bruh, really?
He wanted to. I mean, he might need it. I know you.
I'll weave it in. I'll weave them both in. Right.
Right. Thank you so much, Kurt. Thank you for all the work you're doing in my life, in our family. I mean, it's transformational, right? Like, and I just want to say, y'all, like, you've heard me say earlier, like, I got to this insight about my own heart through working with a relationship coach, right? Kurt has been instrumental in helping the men who are closest to me get a better understanding of themselves, because I can't do that. Mm-hmm. I can't do that work for them, right? And it takes someone else to be in that gap. And so when I don't come from a big family, most people here know both of my parents are deceased. I don't have a lot of what people would see as structural or familial support. You can't point to the people who are holding me up, but I know they exist. So I weave this infrastructure of my own life together to make sure that there is love and support for everybody attached to me, which is the same thing we do with our clients at Steps and Stages. So yeah, thank you so much for being a part of that.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Great meeting you all.
Anybody else got any last thoughts, Tiff?
Yes, thank you for inviting me to be part of this community and hearing everyone's thoughts and just want to, highlight even in your storytelling, the enormous amount of wisdom that you're bestowing and that you're sharing. I feel really grateful, and that you. I just want to also acknowledge it's a lot of work to invest in yourself. And I just really admire that. And it's just very inspiring that we all should put that kind of emphasis on loving ourselves. It's really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just going to say, anytime I get a chance to share space with you is magic. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you.
I got some last.
Okay.
I would say, Christal, we've worked together for quite some time now, and I'm just amazed that you told a hilarious story today. It was beautifully created, but you also put a lot of truth in it, and you're really vulnerable, right? And at the same time that you imparted wisdom, you did it in a way that was easy to digest. You made all of us feel really comfortable. We laughed. We almost cried with you. We trying to figure out what's going on. We need a part 2. We trying to roll up to somebody's house. We trying to get your flight itinerary and everything, right? We are fully invested right now. And so I know this is what you bring to a classroom, right? And so I think you have so many gifts, and I'm in awe, and I'm trying to replicate some of what you have when I take it back to the classroom. That you could share so much in a way that affects so many people, and it's just wonderful to see all these people that come and support you in everything that you do.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a part of my life. For those of you who are out there watching, and you might want to understand how the pedagogy of Steps and Stages works. We got some clients who could tell you some stories, but if you want to get a little glimpse into the stories that changed my life and that continue to evolve this platform, you can go grab your copy of Steps and Stories, 30 Days of Growth with Grace, 30 anecdotes about my life and the things that I've learned, with a little place in the middle for you to write your own lessons learned, taking the note and getting the step. So it's available right now on all platforms, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, crystalbrown.com. Don't miss it. Don't miss your opportunity to grow. If you're ready to invest in yourself, you can jump over to stepwithcrystal.com, schedule your free vision call, and let's see if this community is the right place for you to find clarity, build your confidence, and sit inside a community of visionaries who will guarantee you do nothing but grow. Thank y'all for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy book launch. Thank you for sharing this special moment with me. Love you, and I'll see you next week.